you mentioned, well, we talked about legacy and what you want to leave behind. Where, especially musically, where do you think this fits in with that, what you mentioned, with that legacy, and how you look back on what you've done as a band?
I don't know. I mean,
I
think
it's very nicely wherever it is. I don't know where it is. It just kind of.
I think all our work it's good. I'll look back and say, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna go, oh, that wasn't so good or that. Okay. I think we always, if when we do something, we're all kind of perfectionists. We want it to sound as good as it can. We try as hard as we can to make it sound good. So I don't regret. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, but all the records that we've done as a trio are all also very basic. It's guitar, bass, and drums. A little bit of color here and there, but we don't. Out of almost anything that I've done, there's a real belief in just the real basic part of it. And then, like when we started recording, now we were, for instance, like recording technology has changed tremendously since we started, which is like you would go into a studio and a tape is rolling and you play and then you might get a chance to correct a few things that are wrong. Now the way that things are, you can literally perfect every single thing, and that's what people do.
Yeah.
They make recordings where they truly correct everything, and we've taken this new technology and basically applied our old attitude to it, and we work. It's kind of cool. It's like we work in a very similar fashion that we did, but this new technology has made it easier for us to be more relaxed. Like we don't have to go to a studio. We work in Jay's house. We can use the little bits of technology to like correct things here and there, but the basic feel is the same. It's capturing a live drum take. It's starting with a live drum take of Murph, and then building the song upon it, which is what.
But I think this latest record, I'm really surprised. We talked about this before. We were a little bit under pressure. There was a deadline. Jay didn't really know. He didn't really have any songs, but he seems to write better that way. And this album is really strong. I think lyrically, it's just the songs are very catchy. I was pleasantly very surprised. It was just a lot of, once the creative process started, it really just kept churning out until we had enough songs for the record. And I'm really happy with it. I was really surprised because I never know. I'm always hearing just the basic tracks. There's no vocals or no real guitar, nothing. So I leave and then I come back to a finished product, and I was like, oh wow, this is great.
So in that sense, you mentioned that you found the lyrics to be quite well done. So does Jay talk to you about what he's writing about?
No. But I know he's been working a lot. Like he literally, he had a vocal coach just because he had problems with getting sore and laryngitis, and so he had to do stuff like that. And I just noticed he's been really trying to open up. And on this record especially, just the harmonies, the stuff, I feel like you can tell he's been working on it. He's been working on trying to open up his vocal range, and just get better at it. And I hear that.
And for you yourselves, have you taken a different approach this time around? Have you tried out different things?
I practice. I've gone through a period personally where I try to practice a lot more than I used to. Like I try to practice drums a solid hour a day now. I'm much more diligent and serious about my drumming.
We started this record far more lubricated.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's like sometimes I think the other records we would start and maybe we hadn't played for 3 or 4 months.
Right.
And this record, it was like, oh no, we did a show a month before.
Right.
And there was almost it almost came more like in this succession of playing. So when we sat down to play again, it wasn't like a strange experience, Because sometimes if you don't play for 3 or 4 months, you're like, oh.
You're rusty.
I play so many different, I play guitar mostly or ukulele or different instruments. So when I come back to playing with Dinosaur Jr., if I haven't done it in a while, it's like, what is this big thing in my hand? It's like,
right.
So somehow it's just our work ethic has just become even stronger over the last few years. So.
And because of all that, because we were a little more lubricated. It just was a more seamless process. We didn't have to struggle quite as much. It just seemed to kind of come and happen.
In that sense, is the focus of the band, or has it always been on the live performances? And do you see yourselves more of a live band?
Definitely more
Yeah,
of a live band.
definitely.
So does that go into the creative process when the songs get made?
Not really. I mean, we have songs. We try a bunch of songs out from the record, but then we always cut a bunch because some just sound better live than others. But I don't think Jay ever writes with that in mind. Because he sees it, and we see it as two separate things. The album has its own identity in life, and live shows have their own identity in life. So we don't need to merge them or cross or alter.
The live shows are our bread and butter. I mean, that's how we, especially Murph and I, that's how we survive.
I mean, that's our job, and we have to. That's how we support ourselves, is through touring.
Finally, then, well, again, we've talked about the way you see the band and its legacy. And I like to ask this question: what do you see as success? So, what for you would? When would you look back at what you've done with Dinosaur and think you did well, so to say, at the end?
I mean, the first thing I can think of is that we're here right now. Mm-hmm. The fact that we come back to these festivals and we're playing around. You know, there's a bunch of young kids walking around with their new band,
Yeah.
and they're at their fest. You know, it's like. Just to think like, wow, we've actually, I mean, you wouldn't, I don't know if you would have necessarily, if I would have necessarily thought that, like, even 10 years ago, I might have been like, will we be even asked to play these things again? Will I ever be invited to play? Will we ever be considered relevant enough to be, I mean, when will the plug be pulled?
Right.
When will someone decide that what we're doing is irrelevant to its time?
And then even on a personal level, we were talking the other day, just all the different stuff. You know, these guys now have kids and just all the different things you go through in life. And we were like, man, I can't even believe we've made it this far, because there's been so much stuff that happens in life, you know, personal stuff, personal tragedies, whatever. And it's just amazing. Like, you look back and you're like, wow, like, we're here.
You survived.
I mean, yeah, the success is something, I mean, it's just something that you really understand every day. You know, just like, whoa.
Yeah.
Especially when you're working. I mean, whether it's like recording or playing a show, you're like, wow, we're still doing this? This is, you know, this is obvious, this is good.
And I know from
like, wow.
For me, being older, like, I just, you know, I say this a lot now, I feel like I can enjoy things a lot more, and I can sit back
That's
more
the best
wisely
part.
and go, oh, look at this thing, you know, I can,
that's the
all
really
this
good part.
hard work is like paid off, and it's kind of nice to be able to go, oh,
Being
this
old
is,
enough to just like, because you
cool.
see kids, like, especially with a festival like this, you see young bands running around and you're like, man, you know, they're just like, this show's gotta be good, man.
Yeah.
We're really gonna pull it out for them. I mean, you can just, because you have that sense when you're younger of like, you know, one false move and it's over, and like
Right.
one, like in like,
right.
and being liberated from that kind of thinking.
Yeah.
You know, now as being older, it's like,
Yep.
it's awesome. It's
Yeah.
just like, great.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, to be able to see a bigger picture is like,
It's
Yeah.
you know, just to look beyond your little, like, your world of
yeah.
of, you know, your own little scene politics, and you're worried that some band that sounds kind of like your band is more popular than you are, and
It's a relief to be able to look back and just say, you know, the whole don't sweat the details, just
yeah, it's
let it unfold.
I mean, and being able to step up on stage and go like, I don't care if there's 10,000 people out there right now. I'm trying to play the best version of this song that I've ever played.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing. And for me, I guess, like, when we're playing, I mean, especially when Dinosaur plays, like, I really do, like, I have these amazing moments of just like nostalgia and self-reflection while I'm playing, you know? I'm like looking over at Murph,
That's
I'm
true.
like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. That happens to me all the
And
time.
I'm looking over at Jay and I'm like, hey, wow,
Yeah.
okay.
That happened to me the other night. We were playing this song Thumb, and the vocals were really clear, and I was just like, man, these are really intense, like heavy lyrics. I was just like, wow, I'm playing the song, kind of going, wow, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I remember like, that song in particular because I remember when I heard that song. It was on the first record they did without me, and I remember taking that song really personally. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
like that song is like lyrically really pretty devastating.
But then I assume you go through this almost every time you play the song.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's a catharsis.
To be able to,
Yeah.
I mean, I have this conversation with my wife a lot. She's like, how can you? Because I have my own songs. It's like, how can you sing these songs over and over? Doesn't it make you depressed? I'm like, no, no. This is like standing on a fucking mountaintop every time the sadder the song is, the more depressing it is. Every time that I play it again, it's like literally like conquering something. It's like wow, I can. All of this is this devastation that lays at my feet at this point, and it's like I'm stepping over it. You know? It's like it's a wonderful feeling. And
That's cool.
You know, Dinosaur is kind of like that for me. It's just like wow. It's like this is like I'm conquering something that truly made me feel like I was going to go insane.
Yeah, it's true.
So a sense
At the age of 20,
Sure.
this band was threatening my sanity.
Yeah,
so a lot of
it
redemption.
did threaten
in that
mine.
sense.
Oh yeah, you know, it's like I was teetering, and I'm sure Murph kind of feels the same way. It's like at certain points in the history of this band, we've been teetering on the edge of like schizophrenia. You know? Like just our whole, you know, our fragile self-worth and all this stuff like in the balance, you know, from day to day with this band, and to be able to play again.
Yeah, I went through periods where the tension, I was so tense, like I'd be puking before I'd go on stage because I was just like, it was like crippling, you know, it was just crazy.
And so like you say now, coming out the other side intact, so that must be wonderful.
Yeah, and then there's also the idea that it could still destroy us.
Is that a serious concern?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, it's still just like, it's less and less.
For me, not so much, but because I did let it destroy me for a while, and I kind of went with that, and I did go to a really dark place, but then I came out of it, and now I'm in more of a lighter
Maybe I
place.
can see the signs as well if
Yeah.
it's heading down that road.
Yeah, I came through the other side, so I kind of feel like I already went there. I don't need to go there again.
Thank you very much for your time. Thank
Great,
you.
thanks.